On behalf of the Jamaican delegation, I must first express deepest appreciation to the government and people of St. Kitts and Nevis for the warm welcome and hospitality, and for the gracious arrangements that have been made for our stay in your beautiful country. As outgoing chairman, I wish to thank my colleague heads of government for their support and assistance during my tenure. You have given of your advice and expertise and have been ever ready to help in the service of our great region. I must also thank the Secretary General, Ambassador Larocque, and his team for their untiring professional support, as well as our development partners from the international community for their continued valuable assistance to the region. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we are living in unusual times. Seismic shifts are taking place in the international system, a system which now finds itself in profound instability and uncertainty. Great power competition, increasing suspicion, and surges of nationalism and populism have put the current international order under strain. As a region, we must remain true to our core principles, and we must also act decisively and strategically to seize opportunities that the changing world circumstances present in the interest of the development of our countries and our people. During my tenure as chairman of the conference, the focus was primarily on overcoming the inertia which has, for too long, characterized our regional mechanisms and significantly impaired our ability to simply get things done. It was also important for us to press for progress on matters which would enable the average Caribbean man and woman to experience CARICOM in a real and tangible way through implementation of the free movement regime. I was honored to have been able to serve the community over a period which has been marked by some noteworthy achievements, including the successful hosting of the 39th regular meeting of the conference last July in Montego Bay, where we made a giant leap forward to respond to the circumstances of our community nationals, that they be treated fairly, with respect and dignity. In this regard, we adopted the procedures on the refusal of entry and agreed to implement them by August 2018. Another historic step was taken during the 39th session by some member states who demonstrated their firm commitment to ensure that the free movement of skills provisions in the Caribbean single market and economy regime not only work for the principal beneficiaries, but also their families through their signature of the Protocol on Contingent Rights. 10 countries have so far signed that protocol. Importantly, we placed attention on fast-tracking the long overdue inventory of our institutions, systems, and processes, inspiring a bold assessment of how we utilized the last 45 years and the extent to which we delivered on the commitments we had embedded in the Georgetown Accord. This effort was greatly facilitated by the report on the Commission to review Jamaica's relations within the CARICOM and CARIFORUM frameworks. I am gratified that the conference has allowed for extensive discussions on the recommendations outlined in the report, It is our hope that it will continue to serve as a useful analytical tool to assist us in determining what could be of most benefit to achieving our objectives going forward. As agreed in July, several heads met in September in the Prime Ministerial Subcommittee chaired by Prime Minister Motley, and again in a special session in December 2018, where we focused on our agreement to discuss more fully and frankly the CCRC report and implementation of the CSME. The meeting was graciously hosted by Prime Minister Rowley in Port of Spain and delivered the St. Anne Declaration, which cemented our resolve that we must give impetus to the CSME. Among other decisions, accordingly, we reclaimed the objective of economic growth and development and emphasized the central role of our private sector and labor in assisting the region on this path. The importance of the private sector to spur growth and development in our region has been further recognized by the agreement to take all necessary steps to allow our mutual recognition of companies incorporated in a CARICOM member state. In addition, in order to diversify the range of skills available under the free movement regime, we have decided that agricultural workers and security guards will be added to the agreed categories of skilled nationals who will be entitled to move freely and seek employment within the community. We also confirmed that beauty service practitioners and barbers can move and work as artists. Indeed, these are significant elements that will help to debunk the myth that free movement of skilled personnel caters only for a few. Strategic engagement with our external partners remains of critical importance to furthering our development agenda. This is why much of my focus was geared towards strengthening relations with our bilateral, regional, and international development partners. This includes our engagements with the President of Chile and Cuba during the 39th session of heads. In July 2018, I represented the community at the BRICS Plus Summit in Johannesburg, South Africa, where the opportunity was used to reiterate the urgent need for Caribbean countries to gain access to new sources of financial support for the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. I assured them that CARICOM stands ready to work with our partners in support of multilateralism to further the cause of sustainable and inclusive economic development and to translate our support into action and prosperity for our peoples. In November 2018, I represented our community at the G20 summit in Buenos Aires, and it was a fruitful engagement. As I had reported to the 18th special session, I had the opportunity to speak to the plenary on two topics that are of critical importance to our community: the issue of the vulnerability of small developing states of the Caribbean to the effects of climate change, and the need for the transition to clean and sustainable sources of energy, particularly renewables. With specific reference to climate change, I was able to have my first meeting with President Macron of France, where we were joined by UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres to discuss the modalities for leading our joint mandate to galvanize the US $100 billion committed almost 10 years ago by the developed world. In conclusion, having made these bold steps and issued our strong joint recommitment to the regional process, it would be a disservice to ourselves and to our people if we do not deliver. It falls to us now to ensure that our collective visions are always balanced by monitoring our actual achievements and evaluating our capacity to implement. We are getting off the mark has been slower than anticipated, we must then lengthen our stride. Even if the wicket is sticky, we must face the challenges bravely, with success as our goal. Jamaica is honored to have been entrusted by all of you to serve as chair. PM Harris, my team and I look forward to working with you and the Secretariat in our continued effort to deliver prosperity for our people. We wish you every success during your tenure as chair. Thank you.